Coming up live on LiveWire, we've got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking to some folks from the Sacramento Actors Workshop, and they are putting on a production of a play which you can go and see this next weekend. Then we're going to talk to a couple of filmmakers about a place called Sacramento and their film, which is a documentary on the Japanese community in Sacramento and the changes over the last century in Japantown, which there was one right where the mall was. So stay tuned for LiveWire right after this. Yeah, it's called the Actors Workshop of Sacramento, and it does a lot of things. And besides, also it produces theater. And with me in the studio is the founder and director, and also main actor of their current show, right, Ed Claudio?
Correct. Right.
Good. And Laura Luke, you were an actor in the company, and you play opposite him. And what's the name of the play?
Death of a Salesman.
Death of a Salesman.
Willie Loman, Linda Loman.
I see. Okay, now this play is really considered to be probably one of the great American plays.
It is one of the 3 or 4 great American plays, yeah.
Yeah.
Written in 1948, produced in February '49 on Broadway. It was a huge hit.
Yeah.
The opening night, when after Willie Loman killed himself and was fired for being old and mentally off balance, Bernard Gimbel went on stage and told the audience that Gimbel's department store would never fire anyone for age discrimination again.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, imagine that. That was opening night.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Did he just like force his way up there?
Yeah, he did. He just jumped up on stage and said that. He was Mr. Gimbel, so.
Sure, he can get away with it.
All right.
Wow.
It was as big as Macy's in those days.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, good. So let's talk about the workshop itself and what it does, because it's not like a regular theater company, and they only do plays and all that. You do a lot of different kinds of things.
We do. I established it in 1989. Tim Busfield brought me out here to help him establish, he and his brother Buck, to establish the Fantasy Theater for Children, which is now the B Street Touring Company.
Yes.
And then we ultimately started the B Street Theater. But in the meantime, in the interim, I established the Actors Workshop of Sacramento in 1989. And we immediately started producing plays. Through the Actors Workshop, which then sort of transformed itself into the Actors Theater of Sacramento, because I built a theater on Del Paso, which is now the Big Idea Theater. We've produced over 180 full-length plays.
Wow.
And yeah, lots of Shakespeare and Chekhov and Shaw and you name it, and we've done a lot of that because it's great literature, and we train actors at the workshop. Actors of all levels, by having them do very substantial plays such as Death of a Salesman, such as Iceman Cometh, Long Day's Journey into Tonight, that kind of thing.
Yeah, right. Laura, are you you're an actor in the workshop?
For almost 15 years.
Yeah, almost 15 years.
Okay, so you've been in a lot of the plays, huh?
Yep, I have.
Were you in Iceman Cometh?
No, I was not.
Not a part for it.
No.
Yeah, just wasn't a part for it.
That's right. It's almost all men, right?
Yeah, all men and 3 whores.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah,
Evidently, you don't
Laura
want me to
didn't
be a
fit that
horse. So.
description.
No. So, why did you walking down the street one day and thought, I think I'll do another Miller play?
Because I'm 72 years old, and this is my last opportunity to do this play.
Oh.
And I'm doing it at the California Stage, which is a large theater, which is your theater.
Oh, is it?
it's a large enough theater to produce that play. And I realized if I don't do it now, I'll never get to do it again.
So that's the whole thing, you know. I mean, actors really kind of, or at least actors who are concerned about the kinds of roles that they play, you know, usually young actors, whatever they get next.
That's
But and then some of them start to realize that, you know, I really am a type that could play Willie Loman, and I need to do it, and I
before I
better
get
do it
too
now.
old to do it. Yeah, before I get too old to do it.
Yeah, and I find that's fascinating. You, of course, well, have you thought you could play the Queen in some Shakespeare play? I mean, what goes on in the mind of an actor?
Well, as you learn and you get exposed to more, you know, theater and more plays, you start your bucket list starts to grow about things you want to do. And of course, Linda Lohman in this play is one of those parts at my age that I don't know many actresses that have been doing theater for very long that wouldn't have on their list. It's an amazing part.
Yeah, that's an amazing part. You also do. I mentioned Shakespeare. You also do lectures in Shakespeare.
I do through the B Street Conservatory and or the Sacramento Poetry Society. I've over the past several years, I've done seminars, Shakespeare seminars. I'm doing one right now that you could drop into, and it's every Sunday night at 6:30 at the Sacramento Poetry Center. It's love and marriage, sex and death throughout Shakespeare's plays, poems, and sonnets.
I love it. Good. Oh, look what we got here. Death of a Salesman at playing California Stage Theater, 25th and R, and that's this next weekend. You have 2 more weekends, right?
We have 3 more weekends.
Oh,
this weekend
good.
plus 2, right? October 16th is our final performance.
Okay.
Sunday at 2 p.m.
Good.
So it's 8 on Friday, 8 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday.
We got 1 minute, and then I'm going to ask you to go and do a scene from Death of a Salesman.
Okay, great.
Is that good?
That sounds good.
wonderful.
Okay. But before we do, you also have things for children in the summer.
That's correct. Every summer for the last 25 years, we've done children's summer camps, 6 weeks of camps. 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks are for kids 7 to 12. The second 2 weeks are for teens, 13 to 18. And the final 2 weeks are for kids 7 to 12 again.
Wow.
And we do them at your theater.
Oh. Well, all right. Can I ask you, what is the scene you're going to do?
We're going to do a cutting from Act 2 where Willie's about to go ask his boss, Howard, for to have him take him off the road and to give him a New York job and an advance in salary.
Advance in salary. Right. Okay, well, let's have a look at it. We're going to take a little pause, and then we'll come back with Ed Claudio and Laura Luke in Death of a Salesman.
When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke fast.
Hey, look, it's those guys.
Let's hit those pearly whites, man.
Boys, check it. Yeah.
Ooh, cute.
Are you good to drive?
I'm fine.
Hey girl, what's up? What's the name? What's good? What's up?
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Sir, go and step out of the vehicle for me.
See ya, buddy. Today, Sean's got a hearing. We'll see how it goes. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing. And it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
So So it's the Actors Workshop of Sacramento, and they are going to show us a scene from Willie Loman and his wife talking in Act 2 of Death of a Salesman with Ed, Claudio, and Laura Luke.
How did Biff dress?
Oh, in his blue suit. He's so handsome in that suit. He could be anything in that suit.
No question, no question. Gee, you know, on the way home tonight, I'd like to get some seeds.
Oh, well, that would be wonderful, but not enough sun gets back there. Nothing will grow anymore.
Oh, just you wait, sweetheart. Before it's all over, we'll get a little place in the country. I'll raise some chickens and some vegetables.
No, you'll do it yet, dear.
Yep. They'll get married and come for a weekend. I'll build a little guest house. Oh, after all, I've got so many fine tools, and all I need is a little lumber and some peace of mind.
No, I fixed the lining on your coat.
You know, I'll build 2 guest houses. That way, they'll both come. Did he say how much he's going to ask Oliver for?
He didn't mention it, but I would imagine 10 or 15,000. Are you going to talk to Howard today?
Oh, I'll put it to him straight and simple. He's just going to have to take me off the road.
Well, don't forget to ask for a little advance because we have the insurance premium, and it's in its grace period now.
Oh, that's 100 and...
108.68 because we're a little short again.
Why are we short?
Well, you had that motor job on the car.
Oh, that damn Studebaker.
And we have 1 payment left on the refrigerator.
Oh, but it just broke.
Well, it's old, dear.
No, you know, I told you we should have bought a well-advertised machine. Charlie bought a GE. It's 20 years old and it still works.
Well, Willie, dear.
You know, who ever heard of a Hastings refrigerator? I mean, for once in my life, I like to own something outright before it's broken. I'm always in a race with the junkyard. I just made the last payment on the car and it's on its last legs. The refrigerator consumes belts like a maniac. You know, they time those things. They time them until when they're finally paid up, they're used up.
All told, $200 should see us clear. But that includes the last payment on the mortgage, Willie. After that payment, the house belongs to us.
It's 25 years.
Biff was 9 years old when we bought it.
Gee, that's really something. To weather a 25-year mortgage.
It's an accomplishment.
Well, all the brakes and lumber I put in this place are in a crack to be found in it anymore.
No, it served its purpose.
Yeah, well, what purpose? Some stranger will come along, move in, and that'll be that. I wish Biff would get married and take this house and raise a family. Well, I'll be going. I gotta be late.
Bravo! Death of a Salesman at California Stage Theater at 25th and R Street in beautiful downtown Sacramento. You can get tickets by going to www.actinsac.com.
That's the place.
It's good.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
having
Laura.
us. Thanks
Thank you.
for having
All
us.
right. Okay. Well, it's really good. Okay. We'll see you. Okay, we're going to take a short break, and we have a couple of more guests coming up here, and we're going to be talking about the
doesn't see race. Love is love.
Hey, look, it's those guys.
Let's hill's pearly whites, man.
That's right.
I'm fine. Hey girl, what's up? What's your name? What's good? What's up?
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Sir, go and step out of the vehicle for me.
See ya, buddy. Today Sean's got a hearing. We'll see how it goes. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
Hi, we're back with LiveWire, and with me in the studio are two gentlemen who represent a program of Access Sacramento. Now, about 17 years ago, Ron Cooper was the executive director at that time, thought it would be really good to develop a film series of films written and produced by Sacramentans. I don't know of any cable access programming in the United States that does that. And this is the 17th year. And the only caveat was you have to do something about Sacramento. It has to touch on Sacramento. And these two guys have done one that really is about Sacramento and its cultural history. Is that right?
Correct.
So, Jeffrey, you are a professor of...
I'm a professor of Japanese history at Sacramento State.
Yeah! Wow. And you, sir?
I'm a graduate student in the public history program at Sacramento State.
Public history? Is it separate from...
Yeah, it's more geared towards people wanting to work with the general public, working at museums, archives, libraries, state parks. So like teaching the public directly about history, as opposed to teaching in a classroom.
So you decided that you would apply to do a film about Japanese history in Sacramento, right?
Yes.
So you've done a documentary, and that plays. When does this play in the screen at the Crest?
Saturday, October 8th at 7 p.m.
Okay, so people can actually come and see this, and it's a documentary about the Japanese immigration, really, isn't it, Jeffrey?
It's sort of the story of Japanese coming to America and then settling the Japantown in downtown. I was looking for a project to make a film on, and Jason's work on Sacramento Japantown kind of dovetailed with that, because the Sacramento area has a long history actually with Japanese immigration, and we tell part of that story, and then we also tell the story of Japantown downtown.
Wow, wow! This is an interesting task to do this, and to it's about they're all of the a place called Sacramento films are about 10 minutes.
Can't be any longer.
Yeah.
No, and then like, bong.
Yeah.
They give you one on the head. So, what area did you kind of narrow it down to?
Mainly where the original Japantown in Sacramento was pretty much right by the Capitol Mall is now, and it slowly was pushed down over the years further south as downtown Sacramento expanded, and they drove the Japanese further outside of it, and so mainly the downtown area, that's like the Capitol Mall that's the main area we focused on, because that was where they were up until the 40s, and then they were pushed a little back further after World War II and the internment, and then eventually like their whole neighborhood was wiped out in the redevelopment of the Capitol Mall in the late 50s, early 60s.
In the late 50s, yeah. And also, there's something happened, also the internment.
Yeah, the internment during World War II, all the Japanese were rounded up to go to the internment camps. While they were gone, other minorities that were looking for works and places to live settled in their neighborhoods, and so a lot of the Japanese after internment came back, found that their homes and their businesses, like a whole new people moved into where it was previously all Japanese living there.
Wow. So that wonderful little enclave where you could walk down and hear Japanese being spoken, and a lot of cultural centers from the 20th century are gone gone because of that.
It was probably very multi-ethnic after the war, and then
Yeah.
it was viewed as a blighted area.
Yeah.
And then they
Blighted. Go.
They wanted to
So
bulldoze
can we
it.
see a little snippet from your film?
Yes.
I believe we
Okay.
sent you a little bit.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's see what the little bit is. Okay. This is from the name of it is called Neighborhood Lost, Sacramento's Japantown. So let's have a look at this little snippet from the film for our talk.
Majestic Capitol Mall, with the Tower Bridge looking to the west and the state capitol to the east. At the turn of the 19th century, this spot where I'm standing in now was home to one of the largest Japanese communities in the country. The area that would become Sacramento's first Japantown was settled in the 1890s by male farmers and laborers who worked in the outlying areas and came into town to buy goods and visit a place that felt like home. 36 restaurants, 15 billiard parlors. By the end of the war, many Japanese returned to find their neighborhood drastically changed. In time, Japantown regained some of its former glory. In 1954, the City Council and the Sacramento Redevelopment Agency passed the Capitol Mall Redevelopment Plan, which would use the power of eminent domain to acquire properties in the area that many considered. Next time you come to downtown Sacramento, perhaps on your way to the new Golden One Center.
But we could only have time for just a little bit, but that was really interesting. Yeah, yeah. So you collected this information from, like, where did you get those photographs and things?
A lot of the photos and we've got from the Center for Sacramento History here,
Mhm.
and then from there we found a lot of the photos were actually like scans of or photographs taken of a book of Japanese photographs of Japanese places and businesses here in Sacramento at the turn of the century, and I believe you tracked it down.
So a lot of sometime around 1910, 1911, and then again in 1930, Japanese came to America and took pictures of the different Japantowns throughout California and the West Coast. And they basically made books for Japanese back in Japan, telling them what America was like. So sort of, if you come to Sacramento, here's where the doctor's office is, here's where the dentist's office is, here's where the general store is, here's where the bank is.
Somewhere in my dim recollection, that they did that for a number of countries. My great-grandparents came from Poland, and that there was a little guidebook on how to navigate the New World.
Yeah, and I think, so I actually went back to Japan last summer, and that's one library specialized in Japanese immigration and had shelves and shelves of books about Japanese Americans in different cities throughout the country.
Wow, that must be really interesting.
That's
You can find more information about the history of the Japanese in Sacramento in Japan than you could here.
In some ways, yes.
Some
in part
ways.
because a lot of the buildings have been bulldozed.
So this is part of your thesis, isn't it, Jason?
Yes, it is.
So it's an interesting thing. It's also a nice service to the public of Sacramento to be able to see it at a place called Sacramento showing on October 8th. There are 10 films that will be shown there, and yours will be, 7. I think
10.
it's
They're
what?
10. They're 10.
Oh,
10
10.
films.
Okay. And yours will be one of them, huh?
Yes, it will.
That's cool. I don't actually think they're mostly story films, I can't remember too many documentaries being made, but it's fascinating, and it is a viable art form.
Yeah, we're excited to present it. As a historian, I think that I'm interested in historians and academics getting involved in filmmaking as well.
Yeah.
And not just leaving it to filmmakers, because we have stories to tell and can tell them in different ways than filmmakers can.
That's true. That's true. And the translation to film of stories, narrative stories, in terms of visual support, is very important.
Yeah, and part of making the film was just tracking down all the information, finding out the data about it, and trying to present that in an informative way.
Good, good, good. So what was it that came into your mind? I mean, you could write a dissertation, you could do it in any number of ways. What made you think to do it this way?
Basically, boiled down to like I'd done enough papers and writing. I want to do more creative side. So I thought it was a good idea. My main thesis project is like a digital online exhibit detailing the history of Japantowns in Northern California. I have like photos, interviews with people who lived in them, artifacts that are from left over from them, and just like a whole assortment of stuff. So I thought that would be more interesting take that anyone can access as opposed to going to like the library and reading it as just a standard book.
Absolutely.
And that's sort of one of the ways of presentation for public history. And actually Sacramento State actually has one of the stronger public history programs in the state and country. So
well, that's good. Well, it's in the capital as well. It should.
Well, because there's so much public history here, with all the museums and all the archives.
It's a short history. I mean, we're not in London
or Japan,
certainly, but it's probably well recorded. Yeah, good. So. What happens to a person like you after you do your thesis? You were talking about the potential jobs that you do. The cities all have some historical museum. Does Sacramento?
Yeah. Sacramento has a couple. It has the California State Museum, the Crocker Art Museum, the Center for Sacramento History. And then because we're so located in the middle and close to the Bay Area, there's like a ton of museums out in there.
So you might find yourself after you graduate working in one of those.
Yeah.
And actually on Saturday, I hope everyone will come and see the movie, but before the movie on the 8th is actually the Sacramento Archive Crawl that Jason probably knows more about than I do.
Yeah, they been holding it for a number of years.
It's called the Archive Crawl?
It's a way for the public to like get to know these organizations like the California State Library, the State Archives, the Center for Sacramento History, and they're open to the public and they give tours and show off their artifacts that detail local history.
Wow. Well, I want to say thank you to you two. Thank you. Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you for having us.
For coming to talk to us about this amazing thing, a place called Sacramento where you can learn about Sacramento history.
Hope everyone will show up.
Yes.
Okay. All right, folks. That's about all the time we have. You know, we got to move along, but we're here every Wednesday at 5, and we talk to people from all kinds of parts of our culture. So stay tuned for LiveWire, 5 p.m., live at 5 on Wednesdays. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.